Deb Hoffman, Guinness World Record holder of the largest Winnie the Pooh collection in the world. And today I am unaccompanied by Cisco, my little boy, who has decided to snuggle with me. Anyway, so I'm sitting in front of my second largest Winnie the Pooh in my collection. And so for those of you who follow Never Enough Pooh, you probably remember this guy a little bit flatter and a little bit skinnier from episode 53. So let me give you a little bit of background about why I'm so excited to be sitting in front of him. He's smiling, I'm smiling, and why I wanted to feature this guy today. So anyway, back a couple of years, I received an email from a collector, and she needed to downsize her collection. And she asked if I would give it a good home. And of course I said I would be delighted to. But it was an all or nothing type of a situation. I had to come and grab everything. And so I quite honestly didn't know what Winnie the Poohs I was gonna get, how many I was gonna get. It was come and pick it up. And so I, of course, said to Gary, I'm like, Gary, how do you feel about a road trip? He's like, where are we road tripping to today? And I said, well, Ohio. He's like, all right, well, what are we picking up? And so I asked the collector for a picture of the footprint of all the items, because it sounded like it was a large collection. And I thought, well, we'll put it in our DJ trailer. Well, I'm glad I asked for that picture, because after seeing the picture, we decided would not fit in the DJ trailer. So Gary said, well, let's rent a truck. So we drove 8 hours to Ohio. So that's where the collection was, in Ohio, United States. And stayed overnight, brought the dogs with us. And so the next morning we rented an 18-foot box truck. I mean, sounds funny, but there was a lot of poo. And you could tell that the collector really didn't want to separate from the collection, but she needed to. And so we drove the box truck into their driveway, and all the items were out in the driveway. She had boxes and plastic crates, and it just, so she's like, okay, let's pack it up. And it wasn't like, hi, how you doing? Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's talk about Winnie the Pooh. She needed to separate from it, and you could tell it was difficult for her. So anyway, so we're loading up the items, and she's like, I have one more item down in the basement. I don't know if you would want it or not. I said, well, let's go take a look. Well, it was this guy. However, this guy did not look like this guy. He was a mess. What had happened is they had moved from one state to Ohio, and the movers took him and tried to fit him into a box that's designed for a wardrobe, so for hanging clothes. Well, so what they did is they tried to fold him in half, and in the process, he burst. He is from 1967. He was a display in a Sears store, and he is filled with teeny little white, like styrofoam beads. You would never see this in any toy made today, because it would be a choking hazard for children. So there are millions and millions of little white beads in here. And so the box that she showed me was this wardrobe box, which was like 4 times too small for this thing. And he was folded up. All the beads were all over the place. He had rips and tears, and I mean, it was a disaster. But I knew what he looked like when he was in good condition, because I had seen him online, and I had thought about trying to purchase one many, many times. I knew how big he was. So we took the box. I said, oh my goodness, I'll try to fix him. Well, I have to be honest. After we actually pulled him out and saw how many beads there were and what kind of condition he was in, hi browser, boy, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, this is just not going to happen. I made a mistake, and sadly, there are a couple of times I'm like, okay, I should just throw him away. But I couldn't. He was Winnie the Pooh. So I started fixing him, and I started sewing him up, and I started making some pretty good progress. And then I kind of stalled a little bit, because I'm like, how am I going to get these millions of little beads back into him? Or what am I going to stuff him with? How am I going to do this? And so we eventually got him as well as we could, and then propped him up, and I put a little slit in the seam at the top of his head, took a funnel, and Gary, God bless his soul, it was almost like we were were filling them with frosting. We put all the beans, the beady things, into a garbage bag, cut the edge of the garbage bag, and started putting the beads in through this funnel through Pooh's head. Well, eventually it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and we got all the beads that were in this box in him. But we still had about this much left. So what I did is I got some fiberfill material and started shoving it through his head. And I have to say, it was really kind of interesting. As his head started lifting, you could start to see the smile on his face. And it was almost like he was smiling as he got more and more normal. And so as he sits today, I mean, yes, there's been a lot of sewing and a lot of repairing and a lot of fixing, but boy, I think he looks absolutely fantastic. And so again, he's the second largest Winnie the Pooh that I have, but we definitely took him from a flat pancake to what you see today. So I'm very, very excited that he looks as well as he does, and I'm excited to share him with you. So, because this is another episode of Never Enough Pooh, you have an opportunity to go on out to mostpooh.com, click on the link for episodes, make sure that you read the contest rules, which is basically answer the question correctly and become a YouTube subscriber to my YouTube channel, mostpooh5150. Enter the contests, and at the end of this month, I'll be drawing for a free Winnie the Pooh, and I hope you win. And so make sure that you enter this contest. And if there are any contests out there that you haven't entered, you can always enter once per contest, put in your correct answers, and again, I'll be drawing for a free Winnie the Pooh at the end of the month. If you have any fabulous Winnie the Pooh stories that you would like to share with me, you can reach out to me on Most Pooh. Definitely subscribe to the Most Pooh channel on YouTube, mostpooh5150. I'm on Pinterest, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. You can find me anywhere. You can email me at deb@mostpooh.com. I would love to hear your Winnie the Pooh story, and if you have any Winnie the Poohs that you've brought back from the dead, if you will, I'd love to see pictures and love to connect with you. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you love him as much as I do. And TTFN.